All right, I'm just gonna ask you some questions.
Okay,
and
good.
when you think of stories that go with those questions, just go ahead. All right. Sorry, I'm looking for my written ones.
Good.
What's your name and were you born?
I'm Otto Rinehardt Kelly, and I was born in Berwyn, Illinois, March 31, 1926.
Wow. Where did you grow up at?
In Berwyn until 1940. Then we moved to Naperville, and that's where my folks died.
Yeah. What's your earliest memory?
Probably being a patrol boy in grammar school.
Did the Great Depression affect you?
Well, of course, everybody did. In them days, like I say, they had WPA, Workers' Progress Administration, where everybody worked. They didn't get no checks. My father, he worked as a bricklayer and stuff plasterer, and my mother worked at the state hospital for tuberculosis.
Wow.
In fact, actually, his sister, which is Rowan's mother, they had about 5 girls and 2 boys. And of course, when they died, the 2 boys lived with Marguerite, the oldest daughter, that was married with no children. But then he did take the one, Louise, which is Beckus's mother, out of the hospital, bought her a trailer, put it out next to our house, and they went and had her live in there and washed her dishes and fed her till she died.
Yeah.
He was good-natured that way, helping people.
Yeah, that was a nice thing to do for her.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. What were some things you did for fun growing up?
Well, we lived out in the rural area in Naperville. I mean, Naperville was only 5,000 people then. Now it's about 75,000. We used to drive 9 miles from Naperville to... What town was that, Greg, you know? Well, the next town, which was a rural town, and so Naperville, when they ended up across the street, was it. Of course, the thing is, the train stopped in Naperville. Even the president of the Burlington lived in Naperville, and so if you lived there, luckily, you got on certain trains in the morning. They went right on through, and the other trains pulled over at the stations and stuff. And so it was, you work in Chicago, make good money, but then you got out. It wasn't dangerous no more. When I was dating Phyllis, my wife, we used to go down to the Berghoff German restaurant, with Chicago Theater, Chinatown, all those places, and it was neat. But then nowadays, no.
Yeah. In a bad area now.
Well, people, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a job growing up?
Yeah, I delivered newspapers like every other kid in America. In them days, I delivered not only one, but maybe 3 different companies. Chicago American, Sun Times, and then Chicago Tribune, which does exist. Colonel McCormick owns Chicago.
Yeah.
I think he owned the Cubs for a while, too, but never could win a pennant.
Well, that's cool that one of them is still around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So here's a question that leads into the war. You would have been a teenager, but what was your reaction to the attack on Pearl Harbor?
Bewildered. I mean, I'm only a kid. By then, I'm a freshman, sophomore in high school, so they don't relate too much to me. But then you start seeing all the programs where join up, do this and that. I had plasters all over with posters, with defense workers and stuff. Yeah. So it did. And then our town had Kraler Furniture Manufacturing, the largest in America. And it was a home plant. And so in there, you can see the changes from some of the custom furniture into war products like they were making for a long time. When I was there, I used to work at night sometimes, a couple hours a night. And of course, my one job was somewhere they got a bunch of hinges. I don't know where, thousands of them. And my job was to sit there and punch the pin out and set the two in two different baskets, you know. But they did make the wooden lockers for the military. Of course, later on they became all metal. But so that was my job. Yeah.
Here, let's wait a minute on whatever sound that is.
Okay.
Jeff, hey, the cat was with me, Dad. You paused it, right?
I can't.
It's all right. Everything's closed.
And talk to me.
Everything is closed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's off, right? You hit pause?
Oh, here, I'll...
Hold on.
See, we got the palm tree there.
Yeah.
And big cage and everything.
I remember the cage
And
here
it was
last
nice.
time.
It would come out and sit on your shoulder and everything, on your lap and everything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to find my spot. How much money were you making at the furniture factory?
About 40 cents an hour.
And how many hours did you work?
Well, 4 or 5. I mean, it wasn't much. A couple of hours, that's all you got. Not to go to the show. Because I didn't have a car. I never knew how to drive a car until I come back from the war.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Really. And so we walked to town 2.5 miles. And then they didn't have buses. But then when they got more commercialized, they had buses. And like our one teacher in church said, was on the board and said, yeah, we go and we give them buses. They ride them in town instead of walking. Then we had to give them gym to give them the exercise they could have got if they didn't have the bus.
Yeah.
So he's always against it.
Huh.
Well, you know.
It's just interesting to think about. I never thought about like a bus system out here, you know.
Yeah.
Here. Did you ever think about joining the Army?
No. Because my father was in World War I. He was in the trenches. He got gassed. He got screwed up all his life. And every once in a while, he would, boom, go out. You know, and then we say, oh, you know, we finally recover or something. You know, he got a military pension.
Yeah.
$5 a month. Big deal. Yeah. But that's what. And he used to always go to the VA hospital all the time. And his major that was served with him overseas was his doctor. And all of a sudden, he died because he was overweight and everything. And so he said, hell, if he couldn't take care of himself, why am I going and seeing him, you know?
Yeah. Did he stop going to see him?
Yeah. He never went to the VA no more.
Yeah. What was your dad's service like when he was overseas, from what you know?
No, he never talked about it. He brought helmets back. He brought gas masks back. The kids used to play with the bugle out there in the little fort they had in the backyard.
Yeah.
They had that for years. But, you know, this thing. Right. But you're talking about rifles and bayonets and hand grenades and stuff. No, they ain't bringing that stuff back.
Yeah. All right. Can you talk about your cousin trying to convince you to join the Army?
Oh, Rowan?
Uh-huh.
Well, Rowan was like 2 years older than I was. And he lived right across the street in Naperville because Ed and Marguerite, which the cousins, took care of them as little kids when they grew up. Of course, the older brother died. He had kidney trouble, so he died in the garage with the car on. Killed him, you know, that way, asphyxiated.
Yeah.
But then Rowan, like I say, almost talked me into joining the Army. But after my dad come back and he's telling me about the way they were fighting the trenches and stuff, I said, I don't think so. I said, if I'll go in the Navy. If they find you and they hit you, you go under, you go under. That's all there is to it. Nothing to worry about, you know.
Yeah.
But then you had, a bed to sleep in every day. You had 3 meals a day, you know.
No foxholes?
No foxholes, right.
That's what I always hear from guys who joined the Army during the war is, why didn't I join the Navy?
Well, some you got drafted, you had no choice.
Yeah.
Period, you know. You enlist, you can try to get something. I want to get in the Air Force or this and that. Yeah. Well, yes and no, but then needs come first.
Yeah, but if you volunteered, you had a choice.
Yeah.
Here. Can you tell the story of when you volunteered for the Navy?
Well, I can tell you when it was. It was February the 2nd, 1944. And I went to Great Lakes, and it was a cold winter.
Yeah.
And I said, boy. But then I heard about some of the guys that were up in Parker, Idaho, 40 below zero out there doing calisthenics. So it didn't seem that bad. But boot camp was short. I mean, it was only like five weeks because they need you. They need you. So when I went to boot camp, all of a sudden one day you graduated, when you got one more strike, then you become a seaman.
Yeah.
And then they put us aboard a train with all the blinds down. Nobody could see you and that stuff, cross country. So when we got to the East Coast, we're getting off there, and here comes this bus coming up there. I'm looking, USNATB. Oh, I made it. United States Naval Aviation Training Base. It was Naval Aviation Amphibious Training Base at a different world entirely.
Yeah.
And of course, that was in Solomons, Maryland. I mean, the big one was in Little Creek, Virginia, which is still today. However, back then, this was just sandy, muck and everything. But then they started building the base up because I know how many 100,000 went through there for those LCIs. They made about 1,000 of them. And so then we had the Quonset huts and everything with mud. But the Marines were there. Then they had the Seabees working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So by the time we got through, the base was half completed. He had them, even a movie theater and stuff. Boy, I said, well, let's stay here for a while. It's kind of nice. So we went to Bayonne, New Jersey. That's where they made the LCIs. Our group is 600 series. And so we picked up the ship there, but then of course it's somewhat filled up with equipment, but not yet. So left that day, we went around to Pier 91. Now, Pier 91 is a big, long pier. Right next to it is a 92, and that's where the Normandy was laying on its side. The saboteurs set fire to it in the harbor, and it turned over and they sunk. They never did fix that, I don't think. So anyway, so we're there for a day or so, and then we got a chance to get supplies like halters and paint and this and that and everything. So then we went around on the other side of Hudson, and we docked there. And that's what I was telling you about. We're from here to the I side to Greenwich Village. So we'd walk to there, and we'd be in Times Square. That was really neat. And I told you, only for servicemen though. Where that point is, you see on New Year's Day, evening when they dropped the ball, is where they had you might call it a refreshment stand. They had hot dogs, and they had Coca-Cola, I think, or something there. And so I think the Coke was a nickel, and then I think the hot dogs were a nickel or a dime. So for 15 cents, you could go on Liberty, see the sights, and have a pretty good meal.
Well, that's wonderful.
So from then, we went down to Solomons, Maryland. So like anything else we did, we'd go out underway, and really, I'm telling you, the sizes of the ships are pretty heavy. I mean, loaded, they're 370 tons. And normally, on beaching, we're not carrying the supplies and nothing yet, just the troops. We're about 280 or something. At 280, our bow sits 3 feet in the water. The fantail back here is 5 feet. Fully loaded, it's 5.8 feet in the bow, 5.8 in the fantail. Now, actually, when you went in, they had like a triangular skids on both sides protecting the propellers when they're skirting up on the beach. But then, like I say, and that's why they were so valuable and so accessible for beaching. Because, hey, look how shallow they were to go in.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, once we got trapped. We couldn't get off. But then as you're going in, you're throwing the anchor out. Going in, okay?
Yeah.
And then and then if you're lucky and don't hit any coral or something, you just rest on the beach, throw out your ramps. We had a crossbar out, and we had 2 ramps, one on each side, we had. And we take turns, because I'm the gunner on the port side, up in the well deck, upper conning tower.
On a 20 millimeter.
Two here, and one on the bow. And this was my gun here. But then once, I guess, for some reason, they put me on the bow hook thing that would release the rams to go down. Okay, well, that was no trouble. But then in order to get off the beach, somebody under fire had to go down there and unwrap the cables that was out to pull them back up. We could pull them back in later. And so that's what we had a couple of guys get hurt, nicked or something. So right away sent them to,
Cuts and things like that.
Wounded, yeah.
Yeah. Could you tell me the story about how you picked your serial number when you were in line?
Oh, it's service numbers.
Yeah.
Well, now we got social security numbers. So back then, when I'm getting lined up to get assigned to it, and the numbers are 727, 12, and then up to 99. So I had 7, 2, 12, 15. And I didn't like the number. It ain't an even number that way. So I traded with the kid and probably changed my whole life. And I did to 16. And that was my service number until he gave me Social Security now.
Yeah.
But it was a matter of choice,
But you never know. Maybe that saved your life somehow.
Yeah, well, that collision in the Chesapeake Bay.
Oh, we'll get there. Yeah. So from Pier 91, when did you leave and where did you go?
Well, we're there. We're complete trained. You do 10 or 12 of them, I forget, if you don't know by knowledge. Yeah. And then how to steer left and right because we had twin screws, to turn each way. And then our screws, the propellers could turn, reverse to turn. You're pushing, you're pulling. And that's the other secret of getting off the beach. You go and you reverse your propellers. You got the back stern wrench, and you're pulling it in, and pulling, and you get off the beach. Of course, the British had something similar, but it never worked as good as ours did. Because I could say, nobody ever got stuck that bad. Yeah. But an old man said, when the boys get off our ship, they get off with dried feet. Well, maybe about this deep or something.
A puddle.
But that's it. But I told you Mordecai, I'm reading about the other day again, too. It was our flotilla, but not us. Yeah. Because we're in New Guinea, I'd say Finchhaven, and then Hollandia and stuff. And we're doing sorties, supplying medical, this and that and everything. So that was that part. So we're getting ready to go to England. They told us. And boy, we're excited about it, you know what I mean? They speak our language and everything. They see this and everything. So we're out in the Chesapeake Bay. Not by, it's in the Norfolk area where all the big ships go together as groups, And so we couldn't see across the room, but we just had...
It was foggy.
Radar and stuff and that. So all of a sudden, whoop, whoop, and we're looking, and then we hear something we don't see. All of a sudden, coming head on our side. It's a big coastal cutter, Coast Guard. And of course, about the time they hit us, that's when everybody's excited, and they're signaling this and that, shut down, back up, do this and that, and they hit us. And where my gun tub is, underneath it is the officers' quarters for the troops when we're landing. And he hit my gun tub, and that under there, and just ripped it all apart, Well, lucky we know we had general quarters, or you probably would have got hurt, So anyway, sorry. It's like having a new Buick with 50 miles on it, and some guy side swipes them. So anyway, we go in a dry dock. Well, that's kind of nice, but then we don't know about June 6th. So about the time we're in there, they have D-Day. So they're not going to send us there. They got enough stuff there already, stuff. So then we're going to the South Pacific. But while we were there, we got a chance to go to Washington, D.C. And see the Capitol and stuff. So it was kind of nice. Yeah. So then we go around down Florida, all the way around into the Caribbean. and we're going to the Panama Canal, which I think is one of the greatest experiences you can have on a boat trip.
Before you got there, in the Florida Keys, what happened to your cook?
Well, not yet. Well, Bantel was still there, but up to Florida Keys, every day you back up in there. We're on dock, you know. You get fresh bakery goods and food and cans and everything, you know, all the stuff, especially breaking bread and stuff. But then once we got to Panama, he didn't know how to bake. He didn't know how to do anything. So the skipper said, well, we're getting rid of him. So they went and they got rid of him and threw him on a tug. Said, you can sit out here and we don't care. You know, get rid of him. So by then, I'm going up for third class petty officer as a gunner's mate. But then I didn't get the rate yet. I wasn't too sure. Because the catch was, we only rated one aboard ship. So I had to go to another ship. So I kind of, I don't know about that. So anyway, I'm mess cooking for 30 days. So then, while I'm there, they get rid of Bantel. We had another guy named Kelly, same name, big tall guy like you, thin with an Irish brogue, like he just got off the boat from Ireland. And so he worked in restaurants and stuff too, but he worked in the steel mills, and he was 43, which is the maximum age you could call somebody for the World War II. So he's single, no kids, no nothing. So he would. So he started it. I'm on there. He said, "You're doing pretty good." Well, we both do it. So we both did it, and we became the two cooks of our ship.
And you became the cooks.
Cook, and I did most of the baking and everything. You know, it's in the Navy recipe book. They give you a book how everything is for 100 people. So with your brain, you break it down to 25 or 50 or 150 or something, and that's how you once you do it a couple of times, nothing to it. I made bread a couple of times and I ruined it, you know. It was too yeasty, too many holes in it or something, and all of a sudden, this much flour in the tub, and two of these in the tub, and you got the perfect loaf, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And so as a cook, your general quarters position was still on the gun?
Oh yeah. I knew how to clean it, fire it, everything.
Before you get to any combat, what did you name your 20 millimeter?
Well, so some of our people back in Berlin was the Mulligans. I mean, Mrs. Mulligan, she had a son, a daughter, and a son, and so the two women were very close friends. You know, she had no husband or nothing, and so then we always kept it. So we grew up together, and she was a nice-looking girl and everything. Well, one of my buddies was taking her out in high school, but she said, "I want to write to you and stuff and everything." She always did. So when she wrote to me all the time, I went and I named the gun after her. We painted on the gun. But she married the other fellow anyway, because by the time I come back home, they got married, you know, of course. But, yeah, you had certain names for certain things.
Oh, yeah.
But, like I say, I learned a lot about firing, though. I mean, you watch them in the movies, and they're pointing the gun, and boy, the thing's going down. No, that thing is going 300 miles an hour, and your bullets are probably going 125. You better be firing somewhere where they two meet, you know. You fire in front of them. But and then our 20 millimeters were kind of funny. They weren't all like one bullet. You had three types of shells. The shells were about 5 inches long, and one would be metal, but also flare.
And
next
tracer.
one would be tracer. And next one would be armor piercing, and next one would be regular projectile. And boom, and then we load them that way all the time in ready boxes, and 150, maybe 200 or something in a box that way.
Yeah.
You just crank it and on there and away it goes. But then it'd be spitting those things out, and it'd be like the M1, it could come out one side, so you're more on the other side.
Yeah.
But we didn't have no armor plating or anything in front of us. We just had, you know, the jackets on and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
So when you crossed the Panama Canal, did you cross the equator first?
wait now.
Uh-huh.
We get through the equator. We get shore leave. My section, of course, the cooks are open and watch, because once your work is done, you can go on liberty. But then you're working 10, 12 hours anyway, so sometimes you don't take it. But then I went ashore in Panama, so all the other guys are getting drunk and everything. You know, I'm only 17 years old. I don't care about that. And that's where I went and I got that Panamanian dollar. I told you, I showed you as a souvenir from Panama. And they had to come back, and the shore patrol brought them back. So the skipper got real mad because the reputation of our ship. Because we tied two together going through the locks. And we got on the other side. Then we got there for a day, no liberty because of what you guys did back there. So they're saying, yeah, the port screwed up the starboard watch, you know. So then we went, and so we're traveling southwest, and so we had to get fuel. So we go to Bora Bora in the Society Islands. That's the first time I saw real Hawaiian-type people. I mean, you know, they had clothing on, but they had pants on and everything, but they'd have wreath type of skirts and brassieres and stuff. But then at the movie at night, they would wear regular civilian clothes like you do. Mm-hmm. And then they would always be there, the whole island would be there, and plus the things from the ship. But you waited until the chief came, the chief, you know, and so when he come, they started the movie. You know. So from there, we're going across now, we're going towards Espero Santos, and we're going to veer over towards New Guinea. Mm-hmm. So we get there. So in the book I was showing you, Flotilla 22 is 30 ships. You show all the different numbers. But then they attacked at Morotai. While they did that, we went to Finch Haven and supplied the boys there, you know, with supplies and that. And it was one place where they had a little surgency, so they set them in there. That's why I tell you, you used to walk through the jungles. You see the dead bodies laying there, and look out for the poison snakes. They tell you, you get bit, you never get back to the ship in time.
When you saw those bodies, was it a shock to you?
No, just something in the mud, you know. Yeah. And I didn't go through the clothes. Some of the guys did, you know, see what they got, pocketbook with photographs, some of that aluminum coins they had, souvenirs, something like that. I didn't go for that. I'd go for flags or something. But I did, though, because they had some of their invasion craft shot up and stuck on the beach. And they had one out there and was still high tide, so I could get to it. It was only 20 feet to the barge. And I got the anchor one off of one of those for a souvenir. But then I sold it, so I don't know why I did that.
So say what type of flag it was.
Anchor.
An anchor flag.
Yeah, Japanese.
The Japanese naval forces?
No, with no rising sun or nothing like that, no. Just, well, like regular boats have, the anchor flag. That's what they had coming in.
Can you talk about when you found the Japanese encampment on New Guinea?
Well, that was when I was there, going through up. But then you went to the trails, because they made trails, because they were going back and forth. And the surprising thing on the beach, nobody touched them or nothing, but they had about 4 or 5 big boxes, and there were saddles. Now I always ask my question, why do they have saddles here? I don't see no horses or nothing. But yeah, that's what Japanese they were, equipment and leather. We went up the trail, and then the encampment. The only thing was a lot of broken up boxes and Japanese, and stuff. Yeah. But they did have a hut, and that was on stilts above, and I assume that was for the officers. But we went in there, and there was a desk and a couple of chairs, but no papers, no nothing. So we only did it once, though, because they're always saying you're going to trip over the mines. Yeah. They were going to have bamboo poles sunk down in the trail, and if you tripped the wire, it would set them off. But then, like the one guy said, it's rained so much now, they're probably soaked and wouldn't go off.
Yeah.
He said, I wouldn't try it though. Yeah.
So did you ever find any booby traps?
Well, yeah, you could see them. You just step over them. I mean, I would think,
Yeah.
kind of, in the bush, you see a piece of bamboo laying there. I don't know.
Did you ever see like a grenade attached to them or anything like that?
No.
Yeah.
But then we went for there around Hollandia, and that's the first time I saw real natives 1,000 years back, with the bones in their noses and everything, on steeple huts like off the water. And we went back in that little inlet bay, and that's where our LCIs were in there. But then we're always going somewhere. I mean, supplies and that, mail or something, this and that. Yeah. So then we were sent, his book, he was our executive officer then, Mr. Bevan was, before he got to 618, the command ship. And
were there any Japanese aircraft in these engagements?
Not there, but then we got to New Britain.
We'll keep going.
Cape Costa, that's what, Cape Costa. The Army was there, and they had little sorties, so we brought some more Army in. Then we stayed there. Then we anchored out by the Sound, because that's where we'd get underway when planes would come over and that, and we would do the smoke generator and just smoke it up. You couldn't see nothing, and that was our job.
Because bed check Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about him a little bit?
Well, the guys knew him, they turned the lights out and this and that and covering everything up and everything. But that's where I got my first M1. I told you. And we go ashore and talk to the guys and that. And the guys say, well, I don't know. Well, that nice looking guns you got. Yeah, we got a few extra. We picked it off the beach and the guys got hurt and they left the equipment. I said, yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. Why? Well, what could you trade for that? He said, a light bulb. They're never going to see this nationally, are they? Okay, a light bulb. So I come back to shoot, and I tell Kelly, I said, we got down in the troop quarters. They got the light bulbs there in the corners and everything. They had the fans. If you were like a sergeant, that's my bed, and he'd have a fan on there. The rest of them would be sweating like crazy. So they had them all over, in boxes underneath too. So I took one over, and I come back with one. So then Kelly said, oh, Christ. So then I'm going to go ashore tomorrow. He goes ashore. He comes back with one too.
So what does he come back with?
M1 too, yeah. I said, are we missing another light bulb? He said, I don't know. The boatswain's out there changing bulbs today. So and then we put him in the gun locker and that. We fired him a few times. I took one on Cricketer, I told you.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, so anyway.
Where did you find the Japanese mortar round?
There. Yeah.
Do you remember how you found it?
They fired a couple, and they had a box of them, and had the thing there, but nobody to use it. And that was only about 100 yards back off the beach. I guess they're waiting, for the ships and that. And so then the boys got there sooner than they anticipated, and they pulled them back. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I used for my money bank. Because the Japanese screw things, you screw anything, and when we screw to the left, unscrew to the right, and they do this the opposite. So if somebody's going to unscrew the top of the head of that thing, and they wouldn't get it open. Then the guardsman, he's the one that opened it up for me, the head off, took the little protective thing out, and then the powder stuff and chipped it out. It was safe, But that had Japanese writing on that. I don't know wherever that went in Naperville, but then I had my room all the time. It had all the writings and stuff on it. That was pretty nice. But anyway, so then about that time, we're getting ready for, these guys are known, they're going to the Philippines, they're saying. And I said, nah, what are we going to the Philippines for? I mean, they just got over Iwo Jima. And I guess they're going to be going to Okinawa. that's more strategic. So no, so sure enough, our flotilla 22 picked them all up, and then we go, and that's where we got our battle stars, major ones. Now, Lingayen Gulf, Leyte, that was a battle like Normandy was. I mean, they had 3 aircraft carrier fleets coming in, and the Americans went and caught the one and sunk that, but not the other 2 right away. So then they had a lot of capital ships. They didn't have the Yamato, because the Japanese had the biggest battleship in the war, you know that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we have, 16-inch guns? I think theirs are 18 or something. Massive. I don't know how big their crew is, 1,000. So anyway, we're there, and that's the first time we ever saw kamikazes.
Yeah.
And first time I think they tried them. And so then we finished up with Leyte. Then later on we went down to Mindanao invasion. That was the big one there too.
Let's go back to Leyte a little bit.
Okay.
What was it like while you were there? The sounds of the battle and what your job was when you were there?
Firing the 20 millimeter in the gun tub. That's what I did.
Do you think you ever hit any Japanese planes?
I don't know. They were going down, but all you see is a ton of flak going up there,
Yeah.
the tracers. But they knocked them all out of the sky. I mean,
Yeah.
one that didn't hit.
When you landed the men on Leyte,
Yeah.
did any of them get hit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had medical, they were okay. Then later on behind us come the LSTs, and they were the evacuees. They'd run a few tanks and trucks off and take all the boys back, and then go out to the Mercy
Yeah.
or the Repose. There was a couple of the Navy hospital ships, like the one that came in New York, something like that, yeah.
Were any of the other LCIs near you hit by the Japanese at Leyte?
They were, yeah, not us,
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get any sunk that time, when we got a lot of hit, tore up and everything, blowing the bow off or something.
Yeah.
But that was something. That was really. And then he had what they call Q-boats, we would call them PT boats, but they were smaller than ours, and they sneak out the rivers. And they would attack ships, and blow them up too. But and that lasted until about the 18th. That was about 9 days, something like that, and off and on stuff. So then we went to Mindanao, and that was a major landing. That was on the other side, and we went and we got that one. We didn't do it, but we got the presidential citation. It was our group, but the 614, I think, and the 12 went 50 miles behind the Japanese and dropped off supplies and stuff to the guerrillas and army. And they went and they brought the president, his wife, 2 children, and servants and stuff, plus a couple high-ranking officers back with them. And then we went to Manila. So then we go into Manila, and we sunk everything. I don't care what it was. I mean, I would even say if they had a hospital ship on it with the cross, they'd sink it anyway. It's a troop ship or something. And so then here we go to Subic Bay, which is on the one side. Gringador's Fort Drum is the big fort out in the front. 1898, they took some of the big guns off the airships. And they were going to protect Manila Harbor for life. No, nothing can do it. Well, then next to it on the other side here was Subic Bay. And so eventually Navy says, we want that. We're going to make it something real important for us. But when we were there, with nothing there, a few ramshackle buildings, a couple of pillboxes, and they had one hangar. There was a seaplane one that was burnt, and the planes inside were just, just the skeletons and that. But then you come back there in the 50s, and boy, it's a base. I mean, you could tie up a cruiser against it, dig it out and everything. But anyway, that was it. So then, while some of them were working out of there to Cebu and some of the other islands, Panay, some of those. We were
Where was the first time you saw a Japanese soldier?
possibly looking across there at Crickador and one of those opens up there in the top of the thing.
Yeah.
They couldn't fire anything at us. No, they couldn't. That's the only time. The rest were dead, you know.
When did you take them?
Oh, well, the prisoners we had. That's later on, yeah. And we get the prisoners of war, yeah. That was different. But so then, Mr. Bedwin got transferred to the 618 now. He came. They kept it back later. And our ships in the 15, 14, 17, and they got radar, sonar, and on it. So it was become a command ship, and he got assigned to that ship. So then he was like a lieutenant, but our captain was a lieutenant colonel. I mean, commander, because he got promoted once through all this time, and they got him pretty good. So whatever they're doing up in the river sorties that way, he's the one that sent us out there anchoring across behind the Cabela to show the anchor charts to the ships. But we didn't do it ourselves. We had some kind of a small amphibious type of speedboat, you know. It wasn't a PT boat, but a fast craft.
Yeah.
2 or 3 guys aboard or something. And they would go out and give them the anchor chart and show where to anchor so they wouldn't be caught on something trying to get the anchor up or that with the ship or something. So we set out there. So that's when I had the opportunity, and they took you know, Crickador by parachutists, you know. You know, they ain't gonna come out on the beach, then they come down.
And did you see them going over?
No, that was before our time. It was already pretty well secured. So the old man said, well, I don't know. You know, you guys are doing pretty good, putting pretty good meals out. The officers aren't complaining too much. And so then, because the officers pay for their meals aboard ship, you know. Then once a month is payday, they cash up, you know, officers. And then they put in some kind of a fund. Maybe our welfare fund that bought the cigarettes and the candy bars and stuff, you know, the gum and hair tonic, but they stopped issuing.
Why did they stop issuing it?
Well, because aboard ship, you know, you got the guys down in the engine room, and it's pretty hot down there. And those son of a guys always had the cooks at bay because we had diesel oil stoves. Well, above up here by gravity was the big tank. And you had to pump the tank, and then of course it would go down like they do a tank in a car. And then you so we go down there. They say, okay, there's the pump. And gee, it took you about 20 minutes to get that thing filled. They said, well, you got anything? Yeah, I got anything. Got any apricots or something like that? Some kind of dry fruit? You know, yeah, we got something like that. And give it to them. Or you got any ice cream up there? A little bowl of ice cream. Give them a bowl of ice cream. You know, they press a button and it'd be filled in 2 minutes. But anyway, that was it.
Yeah.
But then one of the kids, there was a skinny kid, who was a cab driver from New York, Dobie, and he's the one that would buy up the Wildwood hair cream and had alcohol in it, and he'd drink the stuff. So the corpsman cut that out real quick, you know. But they figure everything out, and that's something that you shouldn't have, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Can you talk about the corpsmen making ice cream?
Oh, well, aboard ship, we had a druggist. He had his hometown pharmacy store, and you know, he did everything. Well, he got drafted in the Navy. So you think, well, he'd be a corpsman or something. He knew all about medicine and everything. No, the needs of the Navy come forward. So the only service school open was radio operator, and they made him a radio operator. So here's the druggist at the radio operator, and he used to make the chocolate syrup for us with his own recipe, which was really good, you know. Yeah. With the vanilla and this and that and everything, I know what he put into it. But that was kind of nice. But we'd go and get, the ice cream mix thing. It'd be powdery stuff, and mix it with the milk and that and everything. Then you whip it and chill it, and it gets about half hard. Then we'd pour pineapples in it or peaches in it or something like that. Then really freeze it. But they really went for that, though. I mean, if you want something done, like I'm behind my work, I need another pail of potatoes peeled. Oh, well, we'll help you, Kelly. We'll help you. You got the ice cream out there? Yeah. But then sometime our skipper, aboard our ship, it wasn't regulations by the book. Boy, you wear a neckerchief up to here and this and that, and no boondocker work boots should be shined or something. Nah. Even he sometimes, I told one time, we were anchored, and one of the new LCIs was two across from us, and he was out there in his T-shirt, and he said, and with his officer hat on, and the ensign yelled across to him, says, "Hey, sir, what's your name there? I'm gonna put you on report out of uniform." He said, "What's your name?" "Ensign Maya," or something. "Well, I'm Lieutenant Commander Donald Yeah, so
he never got in trouble for that.
No, that was it. Nobody said nothing. Nothing. Yeah. But he'd come down sometimes, and he'd have a bowl in his hand. He'd go out in the mess hall, pick up on the bowls. And I'd say, "What's that?" Go in there and get some out.
Yeah.
And I'd say, "Yeah, stealing the food from the crew."
So on Corregidor, did you ever see the Japanese trying to escape the island?
No, they were in the tunnel. The rest of them were all dead, piled up and stuff. They were dead.
Yeah.
Well, hell, you come out and they'd shoot you. You ain't gonna get away.
Yeah.
And what they ever did with them. No electric, they could have turned all that off on them. But they had the Filipino troops there with the machine guns and everything. So like I say, I wasn't scared walking around with the M1. Yeah. I saw a couple of the big guns, but they didn't work or nothing.
And the destroyed tank.
Yeah. And then I saw the barracks that were like 3 stories high. They were all blown down to almost to the foundation, and a few houses and that. And the one thing that really struck me funny, because I guess they had, in them days before they evacuated them, they had families, officers' families there. Because I saw one little toy there, like at the head of a doll, laying out.
Where was it?
Where the foundations were and stuff,
In the rubble.
Yeah, in the rubble, something like that. And say, people just actually lived here like it was normal until the war came. Yeah.
An American family, probably?
Well, American forces had Corregidor,
Yeah.
That's where MacArthur was, too, for a while, for protection.
Can you talk about when you found that Japanese tank that had been knocked out?
That was in Guam.
It was on
I
Guam.
knew about that. That was way before my time.
Oh, okay.
No, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so then I felt that I actually got on Corregidor. That's all I wanted, just walk around for an hour or so. And then next morning they come back earlier, and then Kelly had breakfast almost done. And I went back to work. I was routine. Put my gun away in the gun locker.
Did you ever shoot it on Corregidor?
Not there, no, I did not.
Yeah.
But I had the clips and everything, though.
Yeah. And a bandolier?
Oh, yeah. Kind of ridiculous, yeah, right.
And you got it from those Marines.
Yeah. Well, what the heck? I mean, I can see where could you get a light bulb? You got an electrical system where they have some, but then you not one in your tent. These tents were big tents, These are like, 6, 8 guys in a tent. But like a pup tent or something. I mean, they were good sized tents, But that was funny. So anyway, I guess they got the harbor pretty well opened up and everything. So then they have us do any standby. So we started joining the rest of the flotilla. We started hitting the other island with supplies, reinforcements, and that. And of course, we saw Cebu Island. I said we got there overnight. We stayed one night there with troops. And then I saw the Opera House. And I went to the bowling alley they had there, which was greens. and you roll the ball down the green, knock the pins up, they set them up by hand, the Filipinos. That was a big deal or something. Of course, the other guys were all hitting the White House, liquor in that tavern, and beer and stuff, but I didn't care for that stuff, you know. But then Panay, and then we went to Zamboanga.
Oh, yeah.
So we're in Zamboanga, and I didn't go ashore that night. Kelly went. Yeah, Kelly went. And the guys come back, and they're saying, Kelly, what? What do you want? You got something you want. There's fresh coffee's out there in the pot. He said, you got any trading material? I said, what do you mean? He said, we found a monkey. Zamboanga, the monkey has no tail. Remember the song? You ever see Expendable, the PT boat?
Yeah.
You saw them in the tavern there, sitting around, and the kids were too young to drink, and they give them milk. And the chief was going to retire that day, and they sang that song. The monkeys have no tail. So this guy says, so what's going to, this guy caught something. He said, we got a carton of cigarettes. He said, got anything? No, I said, we got a hell of a lot of salmon down there we can't get rid of. So they went and they took a small box of salmon and they brought George back. Well, the old man was furious about it, no pets aboard ship. Some of the other guys had dogs and stuff. Oh, well, all right, we'll keep George. Yeah, by the time they kept him, he had a uniform made for him and everything, you know, and he'd sit around with the guy. But then the ballast, he'd go way up on the yard arm, way the hell up there, you know. And I know how he get up there. He had no tail or nothing to kind of support him, just his arms, I guess. But we kept him all through the rest of the war, you know, all the way through, until we were getting ready to come home, and then we couldn't bring him home, of course. Yeah. We give him some of our sailors. But George didn't do all kinds of things.
How'd you sneak him on board?
They brought him aboard. I mean, at nighttime, you know, like I say. But they didn't know about it until the next morning. You know, you were riding around. But we got to like him, really. But then he would go and have movies. You know, he had the gun tubs forward here, you know, the two gun tubs here, and the well deck is there. When you put the screen up down in the well deck, then you shoot the movie. Well, enlisted on this side, the officer on the other side, you know. So George would go and sit on the other side and sit on their shoulder and, you know, and they, have a good time.
Yeah.
Then they got to like him. Every once in a while, they do something they didn't like where, I know the captain one time forgot his keys in his pocket because they had staterooms. Captain had his own. The other stateroom was for two officers, the exec, and probably engineering, and then around where the troop hold officers would stay. And the fourth officer, commissary, security, communications. Right. He had all the odd jobs. It was his job. Officers' mess and this and that. Go with us on working party because he could sign for the food and stuff.
So what did George do?
No, he didn't go with us, but I'm just saying that, he slammed the captain's door and he couldn't get in the thing. He had no keys or nothing. So they got no locksmith or nothing. So they had to go and wiggle around and get the pins out and get the door open finally. But then he never forgot that, having the keys again. Get rid of the guy. Get rid of him.
But you didn't get rid of him.
No, we didn't get rid of him.
So Zamboanga was fully secure, right?
Pretty well. Of course, every time we go to these places, we're bringing troops with us. Yeah. We're not just going by ourselves or like a vacation or something. We're getting supplies. Sometimes we have troops and mail. Sometimes there's troops and medical supplies, ammunition. We do that too. So that's the only places. I mean, Mindanao, Mindoro, Panay, Luzon. Yeah.
Was Luzon a bad one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way up in there.
What do you remember about it?
You could hear them shooting all the time. Yeah. Well, I told you one time that when we were at stake out there for the ships coming in, I know we lost the belts or something of a washing machine, and they had them in there on the dock, supplies. So we go in, and that's the first time I saw ships anchored, sunk down, and still charring a little on fire. They sunk them, you know. And so while we got there, then we replenished some more water real quick and that too. But you could hear them shooting it out downtown, maybe 6, 8 blocks from us, you know.
Yeah.
And so you hadn't gotten secure, but nothing to do with us. It's safe over here, you know. And Subic Bay was safe, you know.
Right.
They wiped everybody out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where'd you go after Corregidor?
Cebu was first.
Yeah.
And we met some of the boys that was that at
The same guys from the same group of
Cape
men.
Cluster, a couple of black guys. I used to give them a sandwich.
Yeah.
Hey, Kelly, are you still cooking? They come aboard. They're all right. Come on. I'll give you a little ice cream or something. Yeah, and this is us here. We got a station here. He said, yeah. But we always got along, you know.
Yeah.
The black guys, you know, were segregated, you know, really.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have them aboard ship. They were stewards, officer stewards, you know.
Yeah.
That's what they did with, you know, ironing, clothing, messing, setting up the tables, doing all that stuff. Later on in the war, they did have some ships come out, white officers, of course,
But black crews.
but black crews that were petty officers and stuff. They started doing it, but not to. Willie was the son of a gun. I told you, Willie. It didn't transfer too. Willie's transferred from the 618 to the 615. And I know what happened to him when we had. I guess he got promoted and he got moved to another ship. But anyway, yeah, he's lazy son of a gun. Always doing something. And he's the one that would always spit in the soup of the engineer, the Jewish officer.
Yeah.
I said, you ever catch you doing that? You got your throat. Oh, knock it off. But when he moved at the end of the war, I guess he took half the officers' bedding and sheets and silverware and everything. He could get in his sea bag. Cause he sent a couple of sea bags home. But yeah. But he did his job. He had to. Yeah.
So after Mindanao, where did you go from there?
Well, here now, Okinawa's been already.
They've already started.
Yeah. So we're going there for support then. And so our support then was, they put us out in the outer perimeters. The big cruisers are all back here.
Yeah.
So when the planes are coming in from Japan, they got gas for one way, right? Mm-hmm. So they would go. We lost 129 ships.
Yeah.
They don't tell you that. 129 ships. You know. So I made it. Oh.
Can
You
I
gonna
I like
go
your
now?
glasses.
Can I pause? Oh, thanks, bro. Hey, Dad, I got a class to teach you for. Buddy, I love you, man. I love the stories. Those are cool. Talk about Grandpa, too.
Yeah,
He's awesome.
Son, I'm proud of you. You need any funding?
Oh, no, sir.
We can get you some funding.
Oh, I'm okay.
Hey,
so they do a good thing.
he's still looking at your flight jacket.
Yeah, that's my funny. But, way to go, guys. I got a class of 4.
Okay,
I'll be here in a minute. You guys are all right.
okay.
Have a
Thanks,
good
boy.
day.
Yep.
Your sons are great guys. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Wait, I'm just gonna say.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he's an electrician, but he's not really. He's a board member of the union.
Yeah.
And I told you, he saw the pictures when he sent him as a representative. Okay, now.
Let me think where we were. So we're at Okinawa, and you're out in the fleet, right?
Yeah, we're out there. So then the war is over. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So we'll be going home, I think. Yeah, occupation. So Photo 22, the command ships and stuff, they went and they scurried early, went to Jinsen, Korea. Occupation, supposedly. Well, then we are late getting out, and we hit the typhoon. 50-foot waves, 160 to 190 miles an hour wind. Mm-hmm. And they were out there in the storm, and you had the Liberty ships breaking in two, going under.
And you saw that?
And we heard it. We could hear it.
Yeah.
But then you'd be like there, and all of a sudden, boom, it's over there. You're in the same ship. But you look out the porthole. If you opened it, and you probably drowned you if you did. But anyway, it blew us all the way to China. we're 20 miles off the coast, but we're pretty close. By that time, the other ships came down from Jensen to Taku, up the Peking River. That's where we had to go up. Now, the big ships can't go up there, and I don't think the LSTs go up there and turn around. They're so big and long. But we take the troops up there. We take ammunition supply. And we take them to the railhead. Then they take the train to Tientsin. And so, that's what we did.
How long did it take to go up there?
A day, I guess, half a day, up there and back. Oh, yeah.
And they were Marines.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the book tells you what Marine. There were 30. There was 2 sets of Marines. There was the
3rd Marines. And
something like that. Then there was the 34th Amphibious Marines. What were they did? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it had 2 different landings. But it was like a war. Holy cow, look at all these ships around us, all the big capitalist ships. But then, that's the first time, since, the war that any American troops were there, So then we go up to Jensen. And up there, the coldest darn winter in a lifetime. I said, we don't ever want to see this place again. Well, we're South Pacific people. We don't have foul weather gear and stuff. So we did, of course, the Korean War we did, but not then. And I got ashore a few times. I wasn't impressed. I mean, the villages were scanty looking, not like today. They got modern buildings. They're beautiful, streetcars and mess and everything. But not then. The only thing I went to the Japanese theater with the figurines with the different outfits and stuff. I didn't understand that. I could go outside walking around. Then the old men, which are highly respected, and really taken care of, they'd wear Abraham Lincoln stovepipe hats. And you could tell, it's senior. And then the other thing was we had reparation.
In Korea.
Yeah, at Jensen, I got the sniper rifle, the shorter one, and some of the other guys.
Japanese rifle and
that's all the enlistment got. The officers got the other stuff.
Can you talk about where it all was? Like
it was in a warehouse. I mean, they just went and say, "Hey, drop stuff here, drop stuff there." March them in, march them out. Just with their clothing on. That's about it.
Yeah.
They never wore medals or nothing like that. Nothing like Americans sometimes would or something. Yeah. And no pins on the necks or nothing. Yeah. Just at least the ones that we saw,
Right.
But then I could say, I did tell you one time when we were, I think it was Pell, they had a little rickety with some of the Japanese troops. There was 4 or 5 of them or such that were harassing the natives, and they had their own bunker and stuff. So we got assigned and they had one ship, the big warship, one ship. And so we had the Philippine Army, National Guard, all of them with their rifles and everything. And we go pull it in there. And they fire a few rounds, we fire a few on top of it. I guess they killed 2 and they catch 3. Well, they haven't been home now for 2 or 3 years, to the others. So they all go home and that. And our old man said to them, 0800, you hear beep, beep, we get underway, here or not. We leave. And so I just finished the meal and I all cleaned up and everything. Now I'm at the railing. I don't have any seamanship with the lines going out or anything, or getting underway. And I'm just sitting there, and they got the gangplank out, and they're starting to come back, And here's a couple, and the old canoe rolling like crazy. And his girlfriend, I guess they got married or something overnight. A couple of the other ones were there, and then the priest came down. And he had this band with a tuba and some other music, boom, 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 playing. And so then we bring the prisoners. We had 3 of them that weren't killed. And so we're taking them back and put them in the well deck. And so I'm standing there, and this one thing I always remember, I'm standing there, and this little short, fat Filipino mother, sitting there with tears rolling down her eyes, looking at a boy your age, and saying, well, it's good to see you, be careful, don't get hurt, and be okay, you'll be all right. Saying goodbye to him. I said, that's like my old man shaking my hand when I got on a train to go to Great Lakes, when I joined up. And I said, I don't care where you are. Now, that could be the Japanese mother and her son. It could be a Filipino here and their son. He said, it's that way all over the world.
Yeah.
People are people. Of course, politics change our attitudes.
Oh, yeah.
Hate the Japs, hate the Germans, hate this, hate that.
During the war, what were your feelings towards the Japanese?
Kill them or they're going to kill you. Never surrender.
Yeah.
Because they're going to kill you anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're told that. We're told that, in so many words. Training films and stuff. We had all kinds of training films.
Did you ever see any terrible things that the Japanese had done?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
It is good, yeah. If somebody gutted or something. Yeah. Saw them dead, but that somebody must have caught them. Could he shoot them or he shoot me, right?
What happened to the prisoners in your LCI?
Well, we got help for bringing them back, but then when we turned them in Manila, and the Army came out and got them in the boat. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they'll be safe. They'll be in a prisoner of war camp. They'll be sent home safely and everything. Best thing ever happened to them, even though they felt, dishonored and everything. But of course, we're there. Every time you walk by them, when the Filipinos here, kill, here, you kick my knife, kill. You can't do that. Yeah. They wouldn't kill them, but they let the American kill them. Yeah. Yeah, the Americans only. But we got good with the Filipinos. They were pretty nice people.
Right.
Starving, never had nothing. You felt sorry for them. They come along the boat and almost plead with you, Or here, take my baby, or something. Once in a while, we get to know something like that through the priest or something. One woman's kids got go touch some malaria. We'd go and get some pills, some Adderall pills from the corpsman, and then we'd go and give them to him. Hope you give them to the kid, because we took them all the time, so we wouldn't catch malaria. I know the Army had it available or not. Well, we got a corpsman for it. He goes by the book, And 3 times. We turn it off.
Seconds here.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well, now we're going to leave China, and we're going to all go to Jensen, which I told you, and that's where we went, and we got the rifles, the Japanese rifles, reparations, or something. And so we stayed there for a while. We didn't go to Japan or nothing. We never went to Hawaii or nothing like that. So then it's time to start sending them back. Well, in order to get out, Kelly went right away pretty soon because he's 43. And the way they worked it, I might be wrong. Your age, you're 16. Okay, fine, you got 16 points. If you're in the States, I think it was a quarter point. If you're overseas, you got a half a point a month. So look, so you got 15, 20, and some guys got 35. Who's going home first, supposedly? But then, of course, they kind of pushed it a little faster than that. But that was it. Guys would be counting their points. How many they got? Forget. Yeah. But we had guys that were older. We had guys that were 23, 25, 30. My cousin, Jenny Herman, he had 2 girls in high school, your age. And he got drafted. He was on LST. Of course, they call him Pop and everything. But, he was up in there, 38, 40 years old. Yeah. They weren't all young guys. Some were career people back, maybe from World War I. Who knows? 20 years or so. You're in there for 30. Heaven's sakes. Yeah. Well, like me, I stayed until 60. So I went in February the 2nd, 1944, but I retired on my 60th birthday which is March 31, 1986. That's 42 years. So I'm one of the few master chiefs you'll ever meet that wears 10 gold hash marks. That's 40 years on my arm. And I'm very proud of it too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But I had my ups and downs. She wanted me to quit many times, my wife.
Yeah.
I said, well, I know, but there was times in Carter, you didn't get paid as a reservist. You served for nothing. You went on training duty for nothing. What that was all about. That one lasted 4 years or so.
Just got to stick with it.
Yeah.
So
they started paying it.
when you left from Korea, did you were transferred to another ship eventually, a different LCI?
Well, on the LCI, they're bringing back. So we're still full till 22. So we're coming back. And in order to get there, you have to go Johnson Island to Guam, and then Guam supposedly, but then I think after Guam was Bikini, the test. They knew what happened when they dropped a bomb in the air, the devastation. But what if you had a whole fleet in a harbor and you caught them there, and you dropped the bomb into the water? What would that do to them? Well, then they wanted to find, then they got these ships they didn't care for anyway. They didn't bring equipment back from the States. If you had a tractor there, you left it there, or a scraper or something with the CB. They didn't bring them back. But, so then our ship was selected. Okay, just before that, I went with getting ready to leave Johnson Island. They transferred me to the 680. And that was a funny ship because they're always saying, what do you guys do? Oh, we didn't do anything. They got no combat ribbons, at all. But they do got service ribbons. And that's what they did most of the time on 680 was supplies, medical supplies, mail, this and that, transport troops 2 months after they hit the place or something. So then it doesn't count, it just sorties. Well, it's like the Philippines. So many of those places with no battles going on, you're just adding more troops to them so they're never going to be taken back. Because sometimes these crazy guys will do anything to get one of the islands or something. But mom, we didn't need because we didn't even for airstrips or nothing. Heaven's sake.
Yeah.
That's why they say maybe Iwo Jima should have been taken. We didn't need it. You already planned to hit the next one up the river. So why bother?
What do you think about the guys who lost their life on Iwo Jima?
What can you say? It's politics. No, like I say. Anybody loses his life, or something. Sometimes it's by accident. It means how many people died in the World War? Well, 20 million people in the war. Americans, off and on. They all weren't overseas. It said it took 5 or 6 guys to keep one guy supplied overseas, with medical records, supplies, food, this and that and everything. But, I say, I don't know why you're interviewing me really, because I'm just a sailor. I mean, some of your other ones, you got war heroes and planes and this and that and everything else. I'm just doing what any sailor aboard ship wouldn't have done, I'm there, it happens. You're so busy doing your job that you don't worry about it. It affects your moral afterwards when you think of what it was or what it could have been. I've seen planes crash, hell yeah, blow up, hell yeah, rip off the top of some guy's yard arm on his ship that close and hit further up, maybe a mile, and blow up. I don't know. It's all fate, I guess. I think the big thing was that when we got nicked off at Norfolk there, by the Coast Guard cutter. It could have sunk us.
Where would you have ended up at?
Another ship.
No, if you didn't get hit by the Coast Guard cutter. Normandy?
No, we're too. Well, yeah, we would have made it in time. England, it's almost a month, 30 days would be plenty of time.
Yeah.
10, 12, 14 to get there. Then there are 8 or 10 guys to load up or something to follow the rest of the ships. Nothing to it.
So it's almost good that the Coast Guard cutter hit you guys because
If you want to put it that way,
Well-
yeah. It's just fate.
well, what else could have happened?
Yeah. Or we could have had general quarters. And I'm on the gun there, and they hit the officers' quarters beneath me and that gun tub and tear it up.
Yeah.
Of course, when they fixed it, you couldn't tell nothing happened.
Right.
It was all repaired like brand new.
So you got transferred to the 680, and your
Right.
old ship, the 615, went over to Bikini Atoll.
Yes, and they dropped the bomb. A lot of the ships were devastated. They couldn't save them or nothing, this and that. A lot of them sunk, and they sunk a lot. With a couple of submarines, that 615 and another one, I think, LCI was presentable. I mean, nothing happened to them wherever they were. They were in the corner here and over here underneath. And they sent it back to the state. But I told you, I often wonder what happened. Because later on, I'm starting hearing things, 46, 48, seeing pictures of the Japanese and radiation and everything, In fact, they got a big museum there with a big water thing. And that one structural Japanese building, it didn't blow up, but just the shadow of it, remnants. You see the wire sticking out and this and that, but it didn't put it under. And all the different burns that way. If you had a colored shirt like this here, these prints would be burned into it.
Into your skin.
Yeah. So,
What did you think when they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
saved a million Americans' lives, probably mine.
How'd you find out about it?
Well, radio communication, we didn't see no pictures, and that, but everybody's signaling to everybody,
Yeah.
Like I say, our command ship had what? 618. It's in some of the papers there. They had 3 radio shacks, 3 of them. They had radar ones, shacks, and then all the troop holes were for officers, and they were doing certain things in communication and this and that. So, like I say, that's what it was. It's a communication ship, shining ships to go here and go there. I mean, they just radio. You go report to Jensen, Korea, and that's where you went. That was yours. But then, like I say, we had a couple lucky breaks. I thought it was kind of interesting to be off Crigador, and all that. And the time that they were thinking, Fort Drum was useless with the big guns. But then some of the Air Force, what we can do and stuff, they were aboard our ship too. Because that's the day I went and I give them hot dogs wrapped in bacon and then cheese on top of them in a bun. And they thought that was pretty neat. I mean, it was something real quick for them. And they dropped the bombs and chip, and that's all it is too. Yeah. But they didn't man it or nothing. It was just an eyesore, you might say. Mm-hmm. But that was interesting.
They did it just to do it.
Yeah. Training mission.
Yeah. So how did you end up going back to the States?
Okay. Well, hey, I'm gonna get to Hawaii this time. So then, let's see. We already went from Korea to Johnson Island to Guam. Okay, it was Guam that I got transferred. And we were going to the other 680, and then they were going to go. We knew what they were going to do, but we didn't know nothing about what. That they're just going to go to a Bikini, some kind of a test or something. All right, so then I forgot all about it. I come home after the war. And I'll figure, I'd say, well, there's enough guys. I told you, I met one guy I knew. I took a girlfriend in Chicago, and there's 2 ballrooms. the black one, and the north one was white, was the argon. And I think this was a triad. And I went there with Marianne, and we danced a little. You know, it's all like Arab type of structures and that. And when we had a pop or something there, and I turned around and looked like at you. You're at the next table. I said, "Is that you? Is that you, Kel?" Oh, for God's sake! I said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "The only thing you ever talked about was going roller skating, roller skating, roller skating." Well, this week we didn't go roller skating, he said. And we chit-chatted for a few minutes, you know. But that's the only person I ever met. So I always used to write in, because I'm a life member of the VFW. I'm a life member of the American Legion. And so I write it into their magazines about reunions and stuff. And I don't know, I said, we must have some guys. There's Mr. Bevan here. Only one guy. Well, I didn't know about the association. Yeah. And the second time I knew about it, I was going to do it, and I don't know, $15 to join. What the heck for? I'd ever go there or nothing. And so then that's when they wrote the second book. I could have been in the second book by sending some outline in. But anyway.
What was the guy's name that you were able to meet in Chicago?
Geez, I can't remember his name.
Was he a gunner's mate or?
No, a little short guy, seaman. Some of the guys never got higher than seaman. Yeah. Half our boys aboard ship, then they become petty officers. Yeah. I made second class petty officer, and I'm 18, 19 years old. Yeah. Unbelievable. In the old Navy, you'd be maybe 23, 24 or something before you get second class.
And you were still 17 when you joined.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, you get back to the States and you're in, what happened to your M1?
Oh, yeah. Well, the story about the 680, I don't know if I told you about that. Anyway, we're at San Diego. Well, it's called National City, right next to it there. And it's a big naval place now. But back then, it was a repair facility and storage area. So we're going to go to the Panama Canal and go up the Mississippi River and stick it somewhere in the mud. Hey, I'll be something different. I like to go back to the canal and everything. So we get underway. We get halfway down the Baja Peninsula, Mexico. We get diesel oil and the water and the diesel oil. Everything, electric, this and that, everything goes out. And here we are sitting there, kind of working, because we're not very deep, and we're like pushing ourselves on the beach. We get on the beach. Well, here we got a problem with cooking and everything. Well, I can cook some things here, but the refrigerator, how long is stuff gonna last, you know? So we're throwing out steaks and everything else every meal you want, something like that, because, you know, or we would give some to the people. It was a village there. Then they sent the junior officer over the hill to send for a telegram to let us know that we're in danger. And then, of course, we had an accident too. A couple of kids were swimming in the surf. And, you know, they say you don't do that. You got into it and they twist you, and the kid twisted his neck. And so then we had to get somebody from medical. So they did fight out a helicopter. Coast Guard or something. I don't know how they got down there, but they did. So then, anyway, well, there were.
You picked up Mexican officials?
Oh, yeah. Some that brought some in their families there. And they towed us back to San Diego. Well, then by the time we go back there in that city, they say, we're not going to spend a lot of money and fix this up and everything. We're selling these like nothing for scrap. Anybody who wants it, we'll just decommission it. So then that's when I got off it and got sent home. Yeah. So then I'm there and I figured, well, I don't know. I guess I sent the other one home. I said it was stupid. I should have took it apart, put it in a seat, you know, a bag or something, you know.
You brought home it, yeah.
And then put it in the seat bag. I said, no, not until I gave it away. And then I'm sorry afterwards.
Right on the pier.
Yeah, on the pier, yeah. I knew, you know, carry it around or somebody will arrest you or something. Yeah. Yeah.
You probably would have been fine, yeah.
Yeah. I know, but Yeah, the Japanese were fit in there, and just the back of a handle stuck out, and I had I had two locks on it,
Right.
But in a hurry to get home and this and that and everything.
So the Japanese rifle was just sticking out of your sea bag a little bit?
Yeah, when I got home, yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole skirt and the brassiere thing, what type of wreath they used to make it,
Yeah.
it was kind of cute. Yeah, well, I guess my sister wore it a couple of times at a party or something. But I kept one big barrel out there in the garage barn. And I guess I just forgot about it. And later on, I'm thinking, what the hell? You don't worry about that stuff. You're worried about buying a house and getting it going.
Right. Here.
Yeah.
I'm just checking something real quick. Wow.
But that was something. Oh, they had a couple parties, and some of the guys were dancers, and our CEO said, you guys want to go dance with the pretty girls, and you better be dancing with the other girls too, because you don't offend them.
Yeah.
Because the father, they look like, oh man.
It's funny.
Insult my daughter,
Yeah. So this is my favorite, well, maybe my second favorite story you've ever told me. Let's talk about how you got home.
Got home.
The crazy week.
Well, it went kind of crazy in a way too, because everything happened within those 2 days in May. I took the southern route home. I liked that. It was the prettiest. And so I got as far as Chicago, and they're going to have a strike, a train strike. And then so I said, no, the train's going to leave. It'll be all right. So, okay, I'll take the train then. I won't try to hitchhike or something. So I get on the train, and I get to Wheaton, Illinois, which is the county seat for DuPage County, and they turn the engine off. And I'm saying, what? Engineer, the conductor, everybody getting off? We're getting off. We're on strike right now. Holy cow. Get your seat bag. Don't leave it here, sailor. So I get off there and I said, what the hell am I going to do? What the hell? So I said, well, right here is the county jail. I said, I don't know. What the hell? So I walk over to the county jail and I said, hi. Hi, sir, what are you doing? I said, I'm just looking for a place to stay. Could I stay in one of the cells? He said, what are you talking about? I said, well, I said, and I just got off the train. Oh, yeah, the train stopped out there. He said, well, I don't know. He said, where do you live? Naperville, Pike Road? Okay, that's that Wheaton Road. That's a direct road from the county seat to Naperville. That's only about 6 miles. I'll see when officers out riding around, not particular. So they come by. He picks me up in the car. He said, oh, how you feel? Feel pretty good, I guess. I've been gone for about almost 3 years. And so he said, okay, we're up the hill, down the hill, that third house up there. Okay, get on top of the hill. Wait, the lights are on and this and that. And it's late. And all of a sudden the lights are blinking, all lighting up all around. And he pulls me in the yard and he says, well, here you are, safe and sound, sir. I said, thank you. But the same day they happened, because my father was still at the plant, because the train, for some reason, when they come in Naperville, they come straight and they make a curve like this. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the guy was doing. He was doing, 40 or not 25 or something. And they derailed the sucker. And they come over and turned over and hit against the factory. Not the big building, but they had dry kilns where they get the lumber and they cut it off. Mm-hmm. Then they go and they put it in and steam it so it dries it out so it doesn't warp or something. Mm-hmm. You make expensive furniture. And so then, I had people bleeding all over them. I think it was a couple of hundred got hurt. Yeah. And so then my dad was downstairs, and he and a bunch of the other fellows were helping pulling them out that way. And they were staying there for investigations, so they come home late. So I said, here, you got home safe, but some of the guys didn't get home from work last night, And that always in all the national papers, like now would be, every once in a while you see on the news a little incident somewhere you never heard about. but it happened. It's a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And what was it called?
Well, it was just a Burlington wreck, that's
The
all.
Burlington train wreck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it used to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
I know one time, next town down, 2 towns down, was Downers Grove, a nice, big, expensive community. Beautiful train station that way.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some of this great, big, heavy tractor equipment.
Yeah.
And they had on a flat car, and then they're going through the town. One tipped over, sheared the whole side of the building
Yeah.
of the train station, and toppled over. You know,
Yeah.
just by a couple inches, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
But the train wreck, that was a big thing.
so you were getting home during this,
Yeah, same time. Yeah.
and how'd it happen? The police car.
Oh, him?
Yeah.
Oh, they call him.
Yeah.
He was on patrol. You know, the sheriff says okay. Yeah. And sheriff happened to be there. He said, "You're kidding." I said, "No, I ain't kidding." I said, "Nice bed, you know. Just later tomorrow I'll find some time. Make a phone call or something. I'll get home." No, and we'll see what we can do about that. And I'm done getting ready to go to bed. I'm tired as hell. Oh no, you don't. You don't go in there and sit down. Come on, we got somebody waiting to take you home. I said, "Well, thank you very much. I guess I'll have to vote for you next time if I vote." But then, like I say, I didn't, like I say, have a car or nothing. Never drove. I never had to, you know. But then I went, and cars were expensive too.
So you got home.
I told you about Rowan.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he wrote to me for a while. He was doing real good, you know. And then they got up in the hills, there'd be a fight. They're down here, Germans are up here, they're fighting here. They go down to the next one, go up. You got to go down and go back up, push them up. And I told you the time that he was attacking his pillbox. He said, you go around the side of it, you know, and you get in from the side. And he fired the grenade. He said, that'll put him out, you know. And he fired the darn grenade, rifle grenade, and it hit the pillbox. Didn't go in, almost did, and wobbled back out and fell on the ground. So then he go around the side. He was firing into the slits, you know, and so then they surrendered and come out. So he had 3 prisoners who were still alive. So then, as they took over the prisoners, he bent down and picked up the mortar shell. And I said it was from Downers Grove, Illinois, a dud from the next town. That's all they did, was making hand grenade, you know, armament. This one factory. He said, boy, oh boy. But then the worst thing is sometimes that you take your turns and they send you out sniper. Mm-hmm. You're a sniper, you observe, but you don't fire, because when they see the flare of that rifle, boy, every gun on the side is going to get at you. So he's out there, and it's a pretty quiet evening. He made his reports and everything, and he's going back, and sniper got him in the leg, about where your ankle is or something. Mm-hmm. Oh, I broke it and twisted it. Yeah. So then they took him to the hospital, and then now we can't save it, so they cut it off there. Yeah. So then he gets back in the States, and gangrene setting in as he's getting back in the States. Then they cut it off about just beneath the knee. Yeah. Gangrene set in again. You can imagine this kid suffering this much. Yeah. So they say the next time would be in between your knee and your hip, cut right in the middle, try and save. So they did cut it the 3rd time, and of course he made it. But he only had a stump about this big, that's all he had. And I said, then he got one of those trailer log type wooden legs, you know. Mm-hmm. They just dug out the inside that way and stuff, and put it on. But then he always wobbled and everything for years, because that's all they could have. But then because of it, I told you, the state says, well, we're sorry for the wounded veterans that way and stuff. So what we're going to do, we're going to give you a check. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the price of it, I don't know, $1,300 or something for a new car. Of course, it's going to be a Chevy or a Ford or something. But then yours is going to have to be special anyway, because you can't use a clutch or nothing. So his was a tank in the back, the gas pedal, the brake, the clutch pedal. Okay, then when you would take the gas off, the clutch would go in, and you could shift any way you want.
Yeah.
Okay, that was gonna be all right. That's all you could use anyway. So they went and he never got one. And they called the dealer. He's a crooked dealer anyway in town, Ford dealer. He said, no, it's still coming. So then he called again, and no, it didn't come yet. So he called the district manager, and he said, I don't know. He said, we sent 2 cars out for you, special setup for you only, because you wouldn't late. He said, next month I'll drive one out to you personally. Okay, next month, okay. He got the chip. Well, we just happened for the hell of it, just riding around, over and waiting, looking around. Hey, look here, and then walking down. And you see the Oldsmobile dealer there. They're looking, nice looking cars in there. Let's go in and take a look at them. They got automatic transmissions.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're going in there, and of course, you got the one leg and that's swinging around. So the guy comes out and he says, well, you both veterans? Yeah, okay. What, Navy? Hey, okay. What's your Army? That's what my kid is. Yeah, hi, Army, okay. He said, did you get hurt? Yeah, Italy. He said, yeah, that's where my son got killed. Yeah. He says, you been thinking about a car? Well, yeah, I got shit from the state of Illinois. I got it with me. He says, probably a Ford or Chevy, something like that. Would you like an Oldsmobile? He said, how about that green one sitting there? You like that? I'll give it to you for your chit. In remembrance of my son in Italy. So he drove home an Oldsmobile. Holy cow! I mean, there were 12, and they were like 16 or something, maybe more. That's a lot of money. When you only make $60 a week or something. So he got that, and he called the dealer and told him he could go to hell. Yeah. He kept it for a long time, but then he could drive it very comfortable.
So let's talk about you guys driving around in that thing.
Well, what he liked was my clunker. I come home and I don't know. I said, try and look for a car. So then I saw an old 1931 Chevy. 2-door? I think it was 2-door, but plenty of room in the back. And it was like Elliot Ness with the lights up on the side here and everything. And then, you had to crank it, it had a starter motor. But then if you had it fully charged and you start it, it would hit right away, you'd be all right. But if it didn't hit right away, then you couldn't get a second try, It would drain all the battery out. So you go and crank it. But if you have it crank, you could break your arm now, and that thing would snap back. But then that's what we had, so that was my car. Yeah. And he had more fun with that car when you go pick up a couple of the other guys. And I said, would you paint it about every 6 months? Like one year we had the North Central College, which is in Naperville, business college, Centennial. So the colors were red and white. So we painted red and white, for a while. Okay, that was something. Then all of a sudden there was, we painted green. We liked the green color. The guys would all help. Nothing fancy. We used a paintbrush. We didn't know fancy sprayers and stuff. But heck, we'd roll the windows down, stick our legs out the window, and this and that. Spill ice cream in the back, see who cares or something. Cigarette or something. What the hell. That was a fun car. Yeah. The cops were always after us. So I know one time we were doing something wrong. I don't know what the hell it was. I guess riding around with not the lights on or something. Anyway, they're chasing us. And we're going to the field here. And there was a field here. And then across the street, the other field was an asparagus patch. We said we had to whip through there real quick and we'll turn left. So we went through there, we turned left, and we hit a rock. Kink. Oh, my God. Oh, so the car is still running, and we get away. ripped a hole in the oil pan. And by the time we got home, I don't think there was no oil left in the car. But it did quiet down, though. And we got a new oil pan put on. But the funniest thing is one time, I had a 38 Ford Columbia rear end. Mm-hmm. Oh, I sold that for more than I bought it for. Going to use it for stock car racing. They'd throw that thing in second gear, and boy, look out, that thing would move. V8, you know. And we went to Elgin, Illinois, to the big ballroom, and we're dancing. No, the girls are okay. We did it for the hell of it. We danced a few, and that's something. Not going to pick up nothing. And I had a fire. Well, I guess we were only about a mile, and it burned every wire of the spark plugs. So here they are. The rubber burned off of them, and there's just wires going to the spark plug, and the car's running, arcing like crazy. And we got home with that son of a gun, believe it or not. You think it would be disastrous, but this arcing. But then we got home all right, that one. Yeah. But, we did things like that. You would do things like that.
Oh, yeah. What type of jobs did Roland do?
Well, he's under the GI Bill, of course. Mm-hmm. So the first thing he did was forest, you know, with flowers and stuff. And he did real good at it, but then he didn't like it because he was standing all the time. Mm-hmm. So then that didn't work out. And then he learned how to do machinery, like sewing machines. Yeah. Different commercial ones. So then he ended up later on working for a factory, and his job was to repair. Anytime a machine would goof up or screw up or break up, he would fix them. So sometimes he'd be working like night and day, staying late and free and everything. And the next day, he didn't have nothing to do for a week, you know. But that was the job. Yeah. So it worked out pretty good. So, like I say, I was going to college. You know, I was going to be an optometrist. I was in my second year when I got caught up in 50. And then I come back. Of course, I come back in wintertime. I got discharged. And then school don't start till September. And so, you know, because I'm going to break even with the class. I'm not going to get half of the class or something. Yeah. And then later on, when everybody else graduates, I still got half a year ago or something. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm walking around town, and I know the postmaster and everything. You know, he keeps talking to me. And he said, you're a veteran now, aren't you? Yeah, I'm a veteran. Why not? Everybody else has it, isn't it? Yeah, looks like it. And he said, how would you like to work part-time for me? You know, you're not working now, are you? No, you draw on unemployment compensation? No, I won't do that. I won't do that. He said, okay, start with me. But yeah, I said, no, I won't do that. He said, I'll take the test. You know, because a veteran could pass 3 people over. Yeah, there's 4 guys on the list, and you're here down here. That's you up here. Well, you're a veteran, which is okay, I guess, but don't seem right kind of either. Yeah. So anyway, I took the test and I got the highest grade anyway. So here I am in January, a worse winter you could think of. Snow, ice, this and that. And I'm out there, and I got snow up to my head. I used to wear big high boots. Yeah. You know, for the snow and that. I didn't wear galoshes and stuff. And I say to myself, what the hell am I doing this for $60 a week? I must be nuts. Who would ever do this for $60 a week? Out here, I'm freezing up and everything else. Well, of course, it is a pension, I was thinking. I know Kravers don't have no pension. Yeah. And they do have Social Security. I said, well, I don't know. So then I stayed on. So then he made me a regular because the neighborhood was growing. And then I went and got a congressional appointment, politics again, for a rural mail carrier. Mm-hmm. DuPage County is a Republican county. Yeah. I'm a Democrat. See, back then we were, Roland and I both were. And so Roland, he's into the big party with Joe and all the guys and everything. That's right. He before he got in the sewing machine, he had a state job, and that was checking all the surplus equipment.
Wow.
And these gates are all surrounded because people would try to steal it and everything. You know, that was his job. That's right. Before he did the sewing machine, and.
Anyway, you guys were Democrats back then, and so getting your appointment, how'd you do that?
Well, because even though the Republicans are going to win this time, okay?
Yeah.
However, there's a few Democrats that are pretty good guys, and they may win next time. So we'll get them a little job somewhere. They'll be in charge of this or that, you know, maybe a license bureau or something like this and that. So Joe Tompak was a big figurehead. So he went and he contacted Humphreys, and Humphreys went and approved me, and so then it was automatic then. So then the postmaster come around, he said, I want to tell you something, Kelly. He said, what? He said, well, you've been selected for the World Carrier job. And the other guys, you're the Republicans, and he's a Democrat. But thanks to Roland, you know, when he had influence with Joe. So that was sad, though. Joe and his wife lived in Downers Grove, and they went out for supper. They're in a car, and some kid doing about 70 and about 40 miles on hit him. What do you call that when you hit him this way?
T-bone.
T-boned it and killed both of them. Wow. And then they had a double funeral there. That was a big one.
That's
the
terrible.
Democratic Party in DuPage County. Yeah. But you worked, though. You earned your money, boy. That was tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost made as much as a postmaster because it's based on volume and stops. Well, they keep building it, something here and building something there. You get an extra stop. So you're no longer 40 hours a week. You're 42. You're 43 hours a week. You're 44. Well, when you get more than 45, they're going to cut the route, obviously, and you're back to 40. You know, that's what they do, which is okay. Yeah. So I made good money, but boy, I tell you, in Illinois with the snow and stuff like that, put chains on, they'd break, you know, get out there, put a monkey link on or something underneath, slide off in the ditch. Farmers would come out, very nice, they'd help you. Farmers were good, I mean, hell, apple season, they give me 3 baskets of apples. I can't eat 3 baskets of apples. Yeah. I'd bring it to work, let the other guys take it home. They're killing a pig. They give me a leg, a ham leg or something.
Well, that's nice.
They were nice.
Yeah.
Then sometimes a person would just put a cigar in the mailbox. What I didn't like was people, because of the depression in the banks, they don't trust them. So what they would do is pay their house payment by money order. Ooh. So here they are, out in the rural, with the rural mailbox. Yeah. You go out there, they have the application, they leave the money for you. You give them a receipt, then the next day you come around and you give them the money order. And I never said they leave the money out there, something happens to them, the carrier took it or something, this and that. Yeah. I said, no. I had about 5 people that told me only way they would pay. By money order.
It's good that back then it was more trustful.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, the federal offense, even knock a mailbox over, you'll probably just get a fine. But you get caught stealing one, that's a federal offense.
That's terrible, yeah.
They don't screw around with it. And the same way with a mail carrier. He can be sloppy and lazy. And maybe, you know, we've caught him doing it. Throwing
packages.
We call it bulk business mail. You call it junk mail. The True Value is going to have a Saturday sale, so they want them delivered by Thursday or Friday. Yeah. You know, so they have the brochure when they come in, and some of the guys would throw them away. We had one kid. He had PhD too. Brilliant kid, but then he couldn't get a job. He was too high for what he did. And he couldn't find anything yet. So the postmaster hired him, and he worked good and everything. And he did that one time. He's getting behind. We give him help.
Yeah.
Getting behind. And all of a sudden one day, oh, y'all cleaned up, and postmaster, oh, you did a real good job or something.
Yeah.
Then somebody at a gas station along the DePage River knows some stuff floating in the river. They look at it with the bundled mail of the bulk business. So then Stibby, I was superintendent, then he was a foreman. We sent him out there in the boots, walking out, collecting the stuff. The only thing he saved his butt was it was no first-class mail. So, like I say, take it to the federal building, you book him, you let him resign. You don't disgrace the post office. Don't disgrace him. You just get a job somewhere else. We don't want you. We got a record of you for life. You never get another government job.
So what I'm curious about is, can you talk a little bit about when you were first discharged from the Navy and they sewed your ruptured duck on?
Well, that was right back there at the...
Yeah. Back in '46.
Yeah.
But just talk about like what it was like when they did that, you know.
That was in San Diego, man. Yeah, getting ready to go. So they kept me 3 days. I don't know what for. I guess they want to talk me into staying in because it was short cooks and stuff. They offered me even they did in 1952 because the train line ended in San Diego. It goes to L.A. Then L.A. goes all the way over here, right, to the East Coast. So they wanted me to work from San Diego to L.A. and you get the troop that far, it would be a day trip more or less, and cook them, I don't know, cabbage and carrots and corned beef or something, slice it up, and give me a quick meal or maybe just cold cuts or something with a little potato salad. And I don't know, it worked on me for 3 days, and I said no. So then they went and said, okay. And I said, I got a whole new uniform, you know, because ours was stored for what, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And it was all mildew and everything else. That's why we're up forward and everybody else in uniform today undressed blues. Hey, we're still in the dungarees. Hey, that's our uniform aboard the LCI. What the hell, yeah?
And you're wearing Army khakis too sometimes.
Yeah, we did that too.
Yeah.
And then, you know, but the SPs would always get after.
So what did you have on your new dress blues when you stitched it all?
So right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruptured duck.
Yeah.
And what was your rating on that one?
Second class. Petty officer. Oh yeah. No stripes or nothing but second class.
Yeah.
That was pretty good for a kid 19 years old.
Did they give you ribbons then to put on your on the breast?
You authorized them.
But you didn't have them. Yeah.
Well, I had them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I see them. I've never had any.
Yeah.
They had the World II Victory Medal. They weren't in that long. Or if they're any longer, they'd have American Theater and American Victory Medal.
Yeah.
But some of the other ones, in certain situations, like the Combat Action Ribbon,
right,
you don't get that unless you're actually in the fight.
You have to be there.
You damn right you be there.
Yeah.
They don't just give them away. And the other thing is the Philippine Presidential Unit Citation. They just don't give it away. You got to earn that too. That was something else we had too, with the Philippine battles, and then helping to get the president and them safe out. Yeah. So our whole group got that, the 5 or 6 ships. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess the last thing I should ask for the interview is, you stayed in for many, many years, 42. Yeah. And when you got out, what was it like looking back on all of the years you had in the Navy?
Well, I'd do it again. Yeah. I really would, because I got lucky. But really, I don't know. I wasn't too keen about it. For one thing, they're trying to talk me into staying in, you know. And even the Korean War, stay in, I'll take your first class away and make you second class, you be regular Navy. Nah, but yeah, that kind of stuff, offering you for stuff. But then I met people that were in for 16 years, and they were on a battleship, and never got off a battleship, never got shore duty, never got recruiting duty. Oh, these poor guys, yeah. And I figured, what the hell is that? That'd probably be my luck or something. Spend your whole life and shit. It's not nice to get ashore once in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 months, a year or so, get rooted. Well, Arrowhead, recruiting there for a year or so. Hey, what the hell? Give them a test and shake their hands. Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Well, I used to pass out those coins. You got the only one I had left. You know, about the Gunview.
Used to probably give you a big stack of those.
Well, no, but
Yeah.
we didn't give them anybody. It had to show some interest. You know, because it'd be just a waste of the effort. Everybody had one or something.
Right.
No.
Something else.
When you're gone 3 years, you know, in your gut, in your heart, in your brain, the only thing you're thinking about is, I'm in the States, and when I get the hell home.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking about. You've been gone so long to get home. It's natural.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, hell, I seen kids 17 cry. Goddamn, maybe I cried once. I don't know. You know, being away from home the first time, don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I'm in this funny outfit. I don't know what the hell. Getting up 5:30 in the morning or 4 o'clock or something. You know, who knows? But I made a choice. So I think I'd come back. And I don't know, like I say, what's bravery? I don't know. The only thing we're always taught is you do your duty. You know, the guy next to you is going to do his duty. He's going to protect you, and you're going to protect him. Don't you think we're trying to get those damn planes out and we're firing out?
Yeah.
I'd like to see one burst in flame. Well, they did, but I did one time. I got in trouble at Bethesda, Maryland. They were out there giving us training. Of course, I'm a gunner. I'm studying the manuals and everything and all that stuff. I have a little better idea.
Yeah.
So they got a C-47 trailing a great big sleeve. Okay? And they're out there, and then this one goes on, and I next one, we go on the line, and I'm up in there, and I'm saying, don't forget now, get ahead of that thing, not behind it. And I fired, not the plane, but you would have done, you want to hit it, but you want to not hit the tail of that thing, ain't going to do any harm. So I hit the sun, and we cut the cable. And they said, holy shit, they're getting that close to us, you know, and blow a rudder off. And they canceled the whole thing.
Yeah.
But we knocked the sleeve down. Felt pretty good about that thing. Yo, man said,
Yeah.
we did okay, Kelly, but you and the guy, the little guy was a short little guy from Louisiana or something, the Bayou or something. Tough sucker, though. Oh, I tell you, he was tough. But he was a little one. The littlest guy I ever saw.
Yeah.
It could make it, you know. Yeah, Grace, he's a nice guy. And he liked me, we got along fine.
Yeah.
But I just didn't have the heart. I said, I just won't come home a seaman. Of course, one of my best friends in Naperville, Howard Esser. Now, his brother was a year or two younger. He was a combat pilot with a couple air medals and the whole bit, you know, shooting the Japanese down like they were clay pigeons. Howard got in there as a seaman, and he came home as seaman.
Yeah.
But he was firstborn, and that's how some of the old families, the first fountain gets everything.
Yeah.
You know, and the second boy help him out or something. But you get for you're Howard Esser Jr. You get for. So
I should ask you one final thing for the official interview. When you think of the generation today, like the youngest generation, what is something you'd want to tell them?
You want to tell them, I think they're changing ways.
Yeah.
Feel a little different about things. To be proud of what we got. As I could tell my wife, 1 in 7 is out of work. Probably 1 in 5 can't pay the rent or pay the car payment. all kinds of things like that. I sit out in that patio with those palm trees and everything. You see my cactus?
Yeah.
They're 40, 50 feet tall. They're big suckers. And I say, we did well. We earned it. No, in fact, my folks died. They both were very poor. And we had helped, put them away and everything. But with no money like you're going to get some. Like these guys, they know. In fact, I got the other one as a trustee and this one here. Because he'll get his share, half, but he don't really need it. You don't look at this guy.
Yeah.
This is the guy I told you about that has the classic cars.
Is it Greg or Chris?
This is Greg, the big husky, big guy,
Yeah.
the union person. And I told you, you got the T-Bird, 1955.
Yeah.
The first year they made him.
And he's worked for...
Number 1,000 on the plate. I'm talking too loud.
No.
But anyway, he's got that. And then he's got a XL Zebra, some damn thing. I know it does 104 because he took me out for a ride one time to show off. He said he can do 140 in it. But then convertible, that's a beautiful car.
Yeah.
Then he's got a 1964 Chevy Monza, is that what they are? With the engine in the back. Inside, he does a lot of stuff himself, I mean, he put new carpet in, new seating, new everything. But he's got those, of course, they could be investment. He got his own house. He got his own house. He bought it 8 years ago. And the right time when they were just building some and nobody was buying them. He bought one, 3 bedrooms, three bathrooms, upstairs, downstairs, the whole bit. And 2% interest, I guess.
But he did well.
Yeah. His payments are less than Chris's, his apartment he owned. But they won't get married though. They work with too many people who had misfortunes.
Yeah.
Took everything.
Yeah.
And then you got a kid and you got to pay him for 18 years. Nah, not these guys.
I'm lucky that my mom and dad are...
Well, you get along, right? Allow them don't.
Here. Thank you for your service, Otto. We're going to keep talking, though, because...
No, that's all right.
Well, I enjoy talking to you.
Well...